Plans changed a little bit because we had a recent addition to the family here, so we decided that we'd get this one to you while it was fresh off the truck. So today we're going to talk about our second County tractor that we have. County is a tractor we did a few episodes ago on our model 1164. One still wearing its work clothes that hasn't been restored. County tractors were built on Ford skid chassis. So County was started in 1921 by the Cap brothers in England, and those boys started out by putting a tandem drive in Ford trucks. In a Ford AA model truck, they created a tandem conversion so that they could increase the carrying capacity, and that was met with a lot of success, and pretty soon Ford Motor Company turned to them to do their conversions on Ford trucks for sale all throughout Europe. They were based in Fleet, England, and they used to name each product that they made after a county in England, and finally they just changed their name to County when they started doing tractor conversions. This very handy book right here by Stuart Gibbard is a book that I ordered on the internet and got out of Great Britain, and it's helped me continue my education on county tractors. I really have a strong attraction to four-wheel drive tractors, and when I first was working at the first tractor dealership I ever worked at, West Mountain Sales, which was a Ford tractor dealership back when I was 17 years old up in West Glens Falls, first tractor I ever had the opportunity to work on with our shop foreman Gene Nicholson was a County 1164. And I really fell in love with the tractor. I love the design of it, and I like the uniqueness of it. I've got sales literature from back when I was a little boy on these tractors, and I've always just kind of had a strong spot for them. And this week we added a second County tractor to our collection. So that's the one we're going to share with you today. But I'm going to tell you a little bit more about County as a company based out of Fleet, England. County went on to do a conversion on Fordson tractors to turn them into crawlers. And they were used by the British military as well as by farmers over in Britain and throughout Europe. And after that, they started converting tractors to what's called not front wheel assist or four-wheel drive, but equal wheel drive, EWD. This is a 1/32nd toy of a County 1174. It's the next model bigger than our bigger County tractor that we have, which is an 1164. The first numbers denote the horsepower, the last numbers for four-wheel drive. So the County 1174 is got the rear end of a Ford 7600, the front end of an 8000, makes 117 horsepower with four-wheel drive, and it's equal wheel drive. Now, when we look at our real McCoy, I'll show you a little bit more about how they achieve the four-wheel drive or equal wheel drive on it. This toy right here is a 1/32nd 1174 limited edition I was lucky enough to buy. There was one of these painted in this color, and it was painted to celebrate the 50th anniversary of County being in business. So this was made in 1979 when the 1174 was a current production tractor. So it's kind of a unique piece in our collection. I didn't take it all the way out of its box, but enough so that you could see the details of the tractor. They're just a really, really unique piece. So, I forgot one thing. Greta, on the kitchen counter is a book from the Schaaf auction. Would you bring that out here, please? I knew there was one thing I was forgetting. So our lovely assistant, Greta with 2 T's, is going to go get the book, the catalog from the auction where we were buying this tractor last week. So here she is, the newest member of the family. This is a smaller version to the one we already have. This is a County 754. It rides on brand new 18430 rubber, 754 for 75 horsepower, four-wheel drive. This tractor was built on the Ford 5000 series, 5000 tractor chassis. County buys them in a skid from Ford and then converts them to this equal wheel drive. So Ford 5000, one of the most venerable tractors in the Ford stable, just an amazing, amazing tractor. So the George and June Schaaf Tractor and Truck Museum in Frankfort, Illinois, had an auction last Friday and Saturday, conducted by Mecum Auctions. And I worked for Mecum back in the spring at their Gone Farming sale, and I really enjoy working with these people. They're a phenomenal family-run operation, and they're good people. I'm trying to get to the page where that county's on there, but of course, now that I'm under the pressure and I didn't have it marked, of course, I'll never make it. So just suffice to say, this is almost like tractor pornography. This is a catalog for the shaft auction last week. And years ago, I was in Iowa for the National Farm Toy Show, and we'd flown into Chicago, and we had quite a layover. We got back into Chicago. We drive up to Iowa from Chicago, and we had kind of a whole day to ourselves before we flew out that evening. So I called home, and my best friend Chris Jones, I says, find something on the internet. This is before we all had phones, computers on them in our pocket. I said, find me a truck junkyard or something to go to out here around Chicago, because we got to kill some time today. So he calls back a while later, and he says, I found a shaft truck and tractor museum. Looks like it's about 15 miles from where you're staying tonight. Maybe you could go out there. So he gave me the phone number, and I called, and sure enough, we kind of hit the jackpot. It was just a simple little something he found online about this auction, or about this collection. And so we made the road trip out 15-20 minutes from Joliet to Frankfort, Illinois, and we're amazed at what we found. We came down this lane. It's all houses, and Chicago has spread all the way out into Frankfort. It's become a bedroom community for Chicago. And we go down this road, and we turn this lane. You see a little sign that says shaft, and you think, what's this going to be? Pull in there, and there's this expanse of 5 or 6 great big Morton barns. And at the time, this goes back about 15 years, I would guess, was an amazing number of prairie tractors. He had Hart Pars, and he had Averys, and he had brands I hadn't even heard of at the time. The most amazing collection. And his restoration guy was there that day and took us through the collection and showed us all the stuff. It was just amazing. Well, about 10 years ago, Mr. Schaff went and sold his whole collection almost to the bare walls, and had an auction with Almond Auctions, and sold almost everything he owned. All those beautiful prairie tractors all went to new homes. And then Mr. Schaff started collecting again, and he's in his late 80s now. I had never had the opportunity to meet the gentleman until this year when we were out at the Meekum sale, and Mr. Schaff has decided to finally let the last of his collection go, and he had this big auction, as I told you, this beautiful catalog, mostly prairie tractors. As a matter of fact, there were some one-of-ones, and the high water mark was set at the auction with one tractor bringing $420,000. So I had my heart set on perhaps buying this county Super 4, as they call it, or 754 at that sale. And when I saw what things were going for, I knew I was out of my league. But turns out everybody tuned into the Schaff auction last week was into the old prairie tractors and the real rare stuff. And this, although it's a little rare in this country, it's not nearly as rare as what that big dollar stuff was. So I was lucky enough to buy it. It's been nicely restored, has its original counterweight, it's got its county nameplate, got its grill with its underslung headlights. And if you look, planetary drives here on the front end that are driven, when they buy these tractors from Ford, they buy them on a skid, and all you've got is the output to the rear axle, and they put planetaries at County in Fleet, England, planetaries back there to drive these independent drive shafts to the front hubs on each front wheel. It's a really unique design. It's a 4-cylinder, 256 cubic inch Ford engine, just like in a Ford 5000, 4-cylinder inline injection pump, only available in diesel, no gas option on this. And it's the time-honored 8-speed Ford transmission, you know, the same shift pattern, the same high-low, same T-handle park brake latch, just a really nice tractor. It's got beautiful fenders. They don't look like they've ever been barked up too bad. I'm sure this tractor's got a history of working somewhere, but it certainly hasn't had any work since Mr. Schaff had it restored. And category 2 3-point hitch, 2 remote valves on the back, proper spring-loaded seat and everything, original style seat suspension. Been pretty well totally gutted down to the nuts and bolts. It's a little dirty from its trip home. It came through a bit of a rainstorm somewhere along the line, and was pretty lucky we got it home so fast. And we bought it Saturday afternoon last week, totally as a surprise, and we had her home here Thursday night, and we made a new friend with the trucker that happened to bring it in. It was somebody I'd never known before, and he was trucking something for a friend, and ours hitched a ride with it, and well, here it is. It's a County 754, one, like I said, we'd never expect to own. Very unique the way they operate the equal wheel drive on this, with an independent drive shaft from a planetary setup on the outputs of the rear end. So Once again, we ask you to share our videos. We have been so busy, we haven't drawn names for shirts lately, and we'll get back to it as things slow down. But it's been a busy summer. I've done a lot of tractor pull announcing. Our tractor dealership is busy, and our gun store is busy as well. As a matter of fact, I just left there to come home and do the show, and now we're all going back in to check in some hunting supplies to help Jane be ready to up and running, because black powder opens on Saturday and hunting season's coming. So we're busy, folks, but we love our tractors, we love our trucks. We really appreciate you all sharing some of your time with us as we share our interest in our hobby in tractors and old trucks with you. So have a great week. Keep your chin up. If you're not registered to vote, at least here in New York State, this coming Friday is the last day you can register to vote. Get yourself registered to vote. Make sure on November 8th you vote. It's time for a little change in this country. Let's get this train back on the tracks before she hits the iceberg just like the Titanic did. God bless y'all. Have a great week. Thanks for your afternoon time with us.